Welcome everybody to another BDA Boxing Transmission. This is your host, Mr.BDA, and alongside with me as always my co-host, the one, the only King Bucho.
Yeah, that's me.
All right, now listen, I understand you want to talk about the Charlo, one of the Charlos, right? Gennady Golovkin?
Yeah, the WBC has ordered Charlo to fight Golovkin. And some people are complaining because Charlo was supposed to fight the winner of Canelo versus Golovkin because Charlo was nominated the WBC mandatory challenger. So some people are complaining about that. But I don't understand that these people never complained when the WBC made Charlo the number one contender, because in my opinion that didn't make sense at all. He beat Highland with one leg. That was his first middleweight fight. Then his second middleweight fight was Centeno Jr., where Charlo knocked him out. And all of a sudden he deserves a title shot. And in my opinion that didn't make sense. But then these Charlo fans were quiet when this happened, right? But later, now that the WBC is changing their opinion, because the WBC is a piece of shit, let's be honest, all right? They're gonna change it. Now they're protecting Canelo. Not protecting Canelo, but doing what Canelo wants.
To keep him happy.
Because he's happy, exactly. So now Canelo probably went like, I want to fight Lemieux. I want to fight Lemieux in December, because it's an in-house fight, so it makes sense, So they want to allow Canelo to fight his how do you call it,
whoever he wants, his mandatory
not
or
mandatory.
His his voluntary defense.
Voluntary, Jesus
Yes.
Christ. Yeah, his voluntary fight. So that's fine. That's why the WBC changed their tunes. But now these Charlo boys are criticizing the WBC because why you promised him that he was gonna listen. Don't fucking follow the WBC. They don't make any sense. It didn't make any sense when the WBC said that Charlo was the mandatory challenger, and now it doesn't make sense that they're going back on their word. So that's just saying, it's just stupid, man.
Listen,
They never complained when the WBC made Charlo the mandatory.
we've talked about this before, about how, and I've said it long, every time we've done the podcast or any transmissions, don't pay attention to the alphabet titles. That's when you know. That's how you know how somebody's is a new boxing fan, is where they put too much importance on the IBF, the WBA, and the WBC, and the WBO now, of course. I remember when I started watching boxing, nobody cared about the WBO, and all of a sudden there's 4 titles out there, and that's when people go, well, this guy's not good because he didn't fight his mandatory. His mandatory could be a bum, or it could be a guy that's worth it, but it doesn't matter because the WBC, the WBA, all these organizations, they decide what's best for their bottom line financially. So they have no standards. So don't come over to me and tell us about, me and Bucho about how, oh, well, he avoided this guy, he was his mandatory, like with the same thing with Deryachenko and Golovkin, that whole story. Forget about mandatories. They don't tell you shit. Is David Lemieux a worthy challenger? I would say so. Does Charlo deserve to, because I'm putting it this way, man. If Charlo fights Golovkin, it's a good fight. But stop trying to use what the WB says as if it's gospel, because it's not. These people have no standards, or they change the standards whenever it suits them financially. So why would you ever care about what the WB says? They're a non-existent talent. Here's the bottom line, people. Here's the reality of it. For anybody that's new to boxing, there's no such organization out there that decides who is the real champ, because we got 4 organizations. So that's that's the other thing that doesn't make sense. These people go, well, he's a WB mandatory or IBF, whatever. Why doesn't he fight this guy? If he doesn't fight his mandatory, he should be stripped. But he's not the real champ. You know what I mean? Like, who's the real champ right now in the middleweight division?
I would say Canelo is now.
Right, because he beat, and because he had beaten.
But then again, that's the question is like, okay, so who deserves to be the next challenger? Is it Jermell Charlo, who fought Centeno Jr., or is it the WBO champion, which is Billy Joe Saunders?
Exactly.
Or is it Daniel Jacobs? So, so I don't know. It seems like Charlo is like the one that should be getting the mandatory fight just because the WBC said so.
That's the other thing.
Like,
how many times has he fought at middleweight? How many times has he fought at middleweight?
Twice. And why should we care why the WBC initially why they said that Charlo was a mandatory? I don't care what the WBC says.
Exactly.
Because, there's another proof, right? Like today, there's another proof that they're not consistent. So that's why we don't listen to the WBC. So it's so funny how these people were, the WBC is saying that he's a mandatory. I don't know how that happened, but the WBC is saying it. So like now they're accepting the authorities of the WBC. They have no authority.
Exactly. See, that's what we're trying to get at here, is that why do you follow and proclaim what these organizations say as gospel when they're not. They're inconsistent. They're based off of money, what makes sense for them financially. So these people that use these things, listen, that's why I say that the people that use this as some sort of standard, these rankings, some sort of standard, that's why I say they're new fans, because this ain't the NBA. This isn't the NFL. This isn't the Major League Baseball, where they have one set of rankings and that's it. These have four rankings. And if you count the ESPN rankings and Ring Magazine, who have separate rankings, that's 6 separate rankings right there. So which one do you put more importance on? And I used to put importance on the Ring Magazine, what they said, because they used to have some credit. But then when the lawyer took over, they changed some of the ratings procedures, and so I don't give as much credence to them as I used to. But it's still better than what, at least it's one set of rules. It's not the WBC, it's not the IBF, it's not the WO, and it's not the WA. 4 fucking organizations. And like you said, you raised a good point. All right, Charlo's. Listen, here's my thing on the Charlos. Both Charlos brothers, I think they're very good fighters. They have quick hands. They're heavy-handed. They're good technically. They're not bad. All right, I don't understand why some people say, compared to Golovkin and what he's been able to do, obviously they haven't come close. But they're right up there, I think, top 5 in any division, junior middleweight and middleweight. And I think they would make a good fight against Golovkin. But how about Billy Joe Saunders? He beat Lemieux. He beat Willie Monroe. He beat Andy Lee. So he's had a good resume at middleweight. And in the perfect world, if there was only one set of rankings,
exactly. That's how I look at it. I have my own one set of middleweight rankings. And that's what I try to go for. Like, I don't care what the WBO is going to say tomorrow or the WBA. They might pick up some bomb and say, hey, he's a mandatory. I don't care. In my opinion, Billy Joe Saunders is above Jermall Charlo as a contender. You can also put Golovkin in there because, in my opinion, Golovkin-Canelo was a close fight. So maybe they should fight again. But why should Charlo all of a sudden be the God-given fucking mandatory challenger?
Because again, it's not just about the quality of the fighter, it's about the resume. And his resume at middleweight hasn't done anything.
Nope.
Centeno, who got knocked out by what's his name? Suleiki had knocked out Centeno, right?
Yeah, I think so.
So it's not like he was knocking him out. I mean, good for Charlo, took him out in an entertaining fashion. And who else did he fight at middleweight, Charlo?
Highland with one leg. The guy with
Highland
one leg.
And Centeno. And so when, like you said, reiterating your point, when people say, well, he's a mandatory, like you said, they could take a bomb, and they've done it before. Yeah. Bombs as number 1 mandatory. Does that mean they were worthy? Remember when Murad Hakar took on Bernard Hopkins in 2003 because he was the IBF mandatory, and Hopkins was forced to fight him because he didn't want to lose the belt? Are you telling me, oh, well, because the IBF said Murad Hakar is the number one mandatory, he was supposed to be in there?
Yeah, and by the way, some people are going to say, well, Canelo, he had a chance to fight for the lineal middleweight title against Miguel Cotto without having fought any top middleweights. So they just gave him that chance, and it's true. Nobody's denying that.
Exactly.
So don't go in the comment section and write, oh, well, what about Canelo? Because we're not talking about Canelo.
Well, they're gonna come at us with that because we're Mexican, so they think we're. That's the thing. I was reading the notifications for the messages we get, and there's people making fun of us because we gave Golovkin props on his defense, and now that he's lost, I just read comments and go, "Ha, he lost." It's like, so you see, there's a bunch of
fucking
people,
stupid, man. These people are retarded, man.
There's people out there that are nationalist fanboys and race fanboys. So you got Mexicans that are obsessed with Mexicans, they'll root for the Mexican no matter what. You got Chinese people that root for the Chinese. I was gonna say China, man. They'll root for the Chinese guy just because, you know what I mean. Or if he looks like they do, skin color wise. So these fucking people are gonna bring up everything. Like we say, set standards and stick to those standards. It's not that difficult, especially if you're detached from an ego point of view to what's going on in boxing. Because some people, they put themselves in the position of the fighters, and it's like they're the fighter. And so if you insult the fighter, you're insulting them. You see what I'm saying here? They're obsessed.
Yeah, they're very emotional. It's all about emotions. And that's what's happening with Charlo. All of a sudden, everybody's afraid of Charlo, and he's gonna be dogged, and nobody wants to fight him. Like, seriously, this guy. We can analyze his fights, man, and he's a good fighter, but he's no Mike Tyson, like they're saying. I mean, why couldn't he stop Austin Trout? Both Charlos couldn't stop Austin Trout. Not even knock him down. So Canelo fought a young, undefeated Charlo, or younger
Trout.
Jesus, yeah, Trout. Canelo fought a younger Trout, undefeated Trout, And yeah, some say it was a close fight. I didn't think it was a close fight. But the crowd also went down in that fight. Why couldn't the Charlo? Why couldn't that Charlo with all that power knock down Austin Trout?
Now you get me confused. There was one Charlo that managed to drop him, right? Or no?
I don't think so.
Anyway,
the last one that fought him was Jermell Charlo.
Mm-hmm.
Went to a decision.
But I think one of them. Anyway, listen, we'll cut this out in editing if it turns out we're wrong. But the point is this. The point is this. Yeah, Canelo got a shot against Cotto. He didn't deserve it. And that's what we're saying. He didn't deserve it. So don't, like Bucho said, don't come into this comment section and start saying, well, okay, because that's wrong too. You're bringing up another bad example.
Yeah,
and
so
that just shows how boxing is corrupt.
Yeah, don't bring the Canelo example because we're not defending Canelo. Obviously, he got that fight because he's a money-making
Listen,
fighter.
Canelo could move up to light heavyweight right now
and
get a shot against a later Alvarez. Like, they would give him the fight just for the money,
Exactly.
But so essentially, yeah, that's the real deal here. Your essential gripe with Charlos is that you think the fans are overhyping him.
See, there's the thing. When I use overhype, oh, so you're saying he's a bum? Oh, so no, I'm not saying he's a bum, but he's being overhyped because I don't know what he has done at middleweight or what he has done previously that would lead you to believe that Golovkin, out of all fight, that Golovkin is afraid of Jermell Charlo.
Mm-hmm.
Or even Canelo, man. After that second fight against Golovkin, man, he changed the way I see Canelo, man.
That's right.
Canelo now he has a lot of skills, and to say that Charlo is some sort of boogeyman now, it's reminiscent of this. I've been saying this for a long time. Remember Peter Quillin?
Mm-hmm.
He used to be the boogeyman of the division. I know people can say, "Well, no, I never heard that before." He fucking was.
Wait a minute, was there a time where people were saying Golovkin was ducking him?
Yeah. Go look at it, man. I'm telling you, man. When Quillin was undefeated, Golovkin's avoiding him, knowing full well that Quillin was with the PBC, and Golovkin was on Showtime. It was very difficult to make that fight. They kept talking about how Golovkin is avoiding Quillin. He was a boogeyman. Then Quillin lost to Charlo in one round. And since then, Quillin has disappeared off the map, right?
Mm-hmm. No, wait a minute. He beat Jalen Love in his last fight. Come on, man.
Yeah. A massive statement there.
And I shafted you. That's why.
Yeah. And then Jacobs became the boogeyman. He took that boogeyman title, man. And Golovkin's avoiding him, blah, blah, blah. Then they fight, and Charlo's on the back foot, he's supposed to be the knockout artist as well, right? He's on the back foot, and he gets dropped, loses the fight. So now the new boogeyman of the division appears to be Jermell Charlo. And everybody's crying for Jermell. Poor old Jermell, the victim now. Nobody wants to fight him. Because he's the boogeyman. What about Billy Joe Saunders? Like you said, you mentioned like 3 fights that he had at middleweight that were impressive against top middleweight contenders. And he still hasn't gotten his title, like the lineal title shot. The shot at the lineal champion. And nobody's crying for him. Nobody's crying for Saunders. Man, that's weird. I wonder why.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's the thing. Again, to reiterate our points, 4 different titles, 4 different organizations with 4 distinct sets of rankings. So which one is right? You can't go say that WBC has one of the Charlo brothers as the mandatory, and then the other one has Derevyanchenko or let's say Billy Joe Saunders or Zulecki. So which one is right? Like, which one of those guys is worth more? You know what I mean? That's when it gets subjecting. That's when you get the debates.
That's why you forget about the belts.
Exactly. That's what we're trying to say here.
We always say here.
Right.
We don't care. They mandate this fight. Who knows if Golovkin can accept to fight Charlo, or who knows if Charlo's gonna wanna fight for the Golovkin in a WC eliminator. Mm-hmm. Maybe he gets like, well, forget about it. I'm gonna fight the winner of who's the other one? Well, they have 2 fights. We have Jacobs against Derevyanchenko for the IBF, or Charlo might say, no, I'll fight I'll fight Saunders against. Andrade.
Andrade again.
Yeah,
Andrade. Well, he's fucking
for the WBA. For the WBA. So, for the WBO title. So who knows? Even if Alphabet Belt makes a fight or what's the word I'm looking for?
Listen, I guess what we're trying. If there's anything you can glean from this mess of a transmission, is that stop putting too much attention on what the Alphabet rankings say, because they have no standards. How can you trust somebody that has no standards and they can change them on a whim?
And who knows if boxers are gonna respect the mandate? Exactly. So
Some of these fighters like Canelo, he can drop the belt, he doesn't care, he'll still make millions. So he doesn't care about mandatories. He's not gonna fight some bomb. I mean, some not bomb, but you know what I mean, some no name. He wants the big fights now. And a David Lemieux fight would be big because it's more entertaining. Now, personally, in the perfect world, I think Billy Joe Saunders, if he can get, by the way, he's got trouble now because he tested positive for a banned substance. So, but if he could get his guy straight or something, he would be the next in line. If not him, because of his, if he's found guilty of the positive test, then it should be Daniel Jacobs, based off the fact that he knocked out Quillin. He beat Sergio Mora twice. I mean, I know people are saying, "Well, what about Sergio Mora's a bomb?" But he beat him twice. He showed Golovkin was human, the first one to do it, right, in 2017. So he should be the next in line. But Charlo, who just came into the division, I'm sorry, guys.
Don't get me wrong. I want to see Charlo Golovkin. I want to see Charlo Golovkin. I'm not saying, because some people, I'm telling you, they're going to be saying, oh, so they're just making excuses so Charlo doesn't fight him. They're saying Charlo's not worth it, or a worthy challenger, or worth of being the #1 challenger. So they're already making excuses. They don't want Charlo to... No, listen, I want Charlo to fight the best. I think he loses against Jacobs. I think he loses against Canelo. I think he loses against Golovkin. And I think he loses against Billy Joe Saunders. Now, does that mean he's a bad fighter? No. He's just not as good as these fighters that I just mentioned.
That's a good point, Bucho. I do think, let's make it clear. I think, like I said before, both Charlos have very good skills. But we're talking about the resume here. In theory, does he deserve to be pushed up above everybody else and get a fight against Golovkin? I don't think so.
No.
I don't think so. But that doesn't mean it wouldn't be a good fight. It'd be better than nothing. It'd be better than seeing Gennady Golovkin taking on a guy like Wade. What was the guy's name? The guy who was training with Dominic Wade. Yeah. It'd be better than a fight like that. And that just goes to show how good the division is. Suleiki, Jacobs, Saunders, Canelo, Golovkin, one of the Charlos now. I always forget Jamal, the one we're talking about. Who else do we have in that division? David Lemieux, who can still fucking crack. I mean, this division is fantastic.
Derevyanchenko might be good.
Derevyanchenko may be as good as people think. So you have a whole bunch of names in there, and hopefully now that HBO is out of the picture, it can facilitate some of these fights being made. Maybe the PVC finally wants to work with Golovkin or Canelo or whomever. ESPN is a lot of these fighters are probably going to gravitate towards ESPN now that HBO is no longer there. And you also have people from the junior middleweight division. Munguia is going to probably move up anytime now because he can. You see how big he is. What's his name? Jared Hurd. Those two guys are the ultimate weight bullies in the division. In boxing, and they shouldn't be fighting in that division. So they're going to be moving up, and they're just going to make things all that more interesting. The other Charlo probably going to move up as well. So, man. Middleweight division, nothing but good things for the future. But let's hope people start fighting each other and forget about the mandatories. Guys, don't put too much attention on the mandatories. That's all we got to say about that. All right? So, this was another BDA Boxing Transmission. Mr. BDA along with King Bucho. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Tell us what you think in the comments. Tell us what would you disagree with. Tell us what you agree with. And we'll see you in the next one, folks. Take care.